Everyone, it's Alexis Cardoza.
What's up, everybody? It's the Wild Rhino Clark Connors from New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I am here getting wild, drinking an 805.
Hey, this is Billy Starks.
Rip F and Bison. I ran out of booze.
Join us because we're drinking at Moe's. I am the fire starter, the Carney Killer. I am born to die, Jake Christ.
This is Bobby Olson. We're drinking at Moe's. You better hit like and subscribe.
All right, everybody. Drinking at Moe's, my 2 cents, our 2 cents, whatever the hell you want to call it. As always, YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, share, all the good shit because it helps with the pain in the ass algorithm. Most places you can find your audio podcast. Now, today on this episode, we are going to talk about different wrestlers or promotions that we feel are kind of either underutilized or underrated. I know you got a list that you had thought up, so we're going to go first off of your list, and then we'll see what I got to add to it all.
All right. Well, one of the first things that comes to mind when you got underrated, underutilized, maybe utilized, but not the right way. The Viking Raiders.
Love them.
This is a team that before they even went to the main roster was basically murdering people left and right.
Hell, before they even went to NXT, when they were in Ring of Honor, New Japan, they were friggin' murdering people.
They were murdering people. They go to NXT, they're kind of neutered, but not quite. And then they wind up going, and I mean, they're still dominant and wound up winning the NXT titles. And there's a huge story on that when they won the titles. I think it was one of their brothers was there, seeing them wrestle for the first time. And then next thing you know, they go up to the main roster, and we have the Viking Express.
Oh God, yeah, whole debacle was. It was
and then
stupid. It was funny.
And then you take them off TV for a couple months, and they became something else. Then they finally settle on the Viking Warriors or Viking Raiders, and now they're sticking Sarah Logan with them. Granted, it's Rose's wife, but sticking her with there and dressing her up. I don't want to say it. Dressing her up like some other female from the independent scene. Calling
non-binary.
Her
I think non-binary. We gotta be. And as much as I am not politically correct, we got to go non-binary because I know who you're talking about.
Okay. So anyway, we're just going to go there. So they have all this build. They've got a great presentation when they come to the ring, but they're not pushed the right way.
Yeah.
WWE, to be honest, if you want to talk about people that are underutilized, the entire tag team division of WWE is underutilized. Period.
They really don't have much of a tag team division.
The only thing they had was the Usos, and they had to throw together tag teams.
Yeah, besides
Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, your current undisputed tag team champions, are both out with an injury. We haven't heard anything. Yes, Owens has a broke rib, I think, and Zayn's got something with his elbow. Bursitis. Whatever Cena had a couple years ago.
Hear on that.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, and it kind of goes along with our previous video about the women. Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville are your women's tag team champions. What I have read is that they were hoping to build the division around those two.
And
I think
now,
it's a great idea.
Now
Sonya Deville
out with a torn ACL.
With a torn ACL. And as we all know, if you're a women's tag team champion and you get hurt, you're automatically going to vacate. Kevin
Yeah,
Owens has been hurt for the last 3 weeks. They haven't vacated the titles.
although there is word going around social media that Chelsea Green is going to be auditioning somebody for her new tag team partner.
I saw that earlier. I was like, interesting because the WWE originally paired her with Carmella, and they were going to do a Karen gimmick. Well, we all know what happened to Carmella.
Yes, congratulations to her
Yes,
and
yes.
Corey Graves. Not going to downplay that. I'm happy for him, especially after what had happened previously with the pregnancy that she had
Right.
before. So,
But yeah, in my opinion, if you're in a tag team and a dedicated tag team, okay, not just kind of tagging up with somebody every now and again. I mean, a dedicated tag team, same outfits, same ring music. You have a finisher, you have everything. You wrote a Road Warrior style of tag team, or you're a dedicated tag team. You're basically screwed the minute you step onto the main roster because they don't know what to do with a tag team.
yeah.
I mean, look at FTR. FTR is quite honestly probably one of the best tag teams in the world. They're killing it over in AEW. WWE didn't know a damn thing to do with them after they came up to the main roster.
Yep. And I mean, I was excited when it came to WrestleMania this last time when they had the tag titles getting defended in the main event of one of the nights of WrestleMania. Night one. And it's like the tag team wrestling fan in me was ecstatic. Because I'm like, holy crap. They are actually like, what was the last time the tag team wrestling in any shape was in that spot on WrestleMania? You had to go back to one of the first ones. Oh, you had to go back a
long time.
Yeah, one of the first ones. So to see that, and going back to the Viking Raiders, funny thing, back when there was that whole debacle when they first came up to the main roster, I actually tweeted out it was at the time tweets. I don't know what the fuck they call it anymore, but I tweeted out a joke about the whole name thing. And at least one of them actually retweeted it.
Well, they realized that was stupid.
Yeah, that whole thing was idiotic. And like, I am such a huge fan of theirs. I mean, I don't have it currently displayed out front because I don't have enough room at the moment, but I do have two of their figures back here that I knew as soon as I saw them, I'm like, I need those.
All right. Another one that I got on my list, it kind of goes hand in hand. Santos Escobar and the whole LWO.
Okay. This one might surprise some people a little bit because, I mean, they are getting heavily featured.
They're getting heavily featured, but okay, so you have Escobar, who I think is a pretty good talent.
Oh, most definitely.
He for a cruiserweight, I guess you could say he's perfect. I mean, he was the NXT cruiserweight champion until they decided to get rid of it, and then I don't think he held the title after that. I don't remember, but he was always a top contender. Well, now they bring him up here. Now they bring him up to the main roster. For years, WWE has been trying to find someone to take over the Rey Mysterio role of being the face of the Latin brand.
Yeah.
Okay, not to sound bad about that, but that's how I've been heard. And so you pair up Escobar with Rey Mysterio and the rest of his group, and you throw in Zelina Vega, which she had nothing going on. I think she had nothing going on.
Yeah, she was just coming off that whole Queen.
Yeah, thing. That's right. And that's about time when Carmella.
Yeah, and then I mean, I remember watching Backlash, and good Lord, that reaction that she got there
Mhm.
Holy crap! I
That's the
think
one in
between
that was one in Puerto Rico, right?
yep, the one in
Yes.
Puerto Rico. I think between her and Bad Bunny, they had like the freaking loudest reactions I've
Well,
heard in
yeah,
a
and
while.
let's not forget that Savio Vega showed up and Carlito showed up. So during that whole thing, everyone was getting huge pops.
Although the thing with Bad Bunny and Selena overall, that yeah, they were in Puerto Rico, but
Mhm.
holy crap! Besides, you know what? I can't remember too many times, not even with Jericho, where well, other than Jericho recently with the his theme, but the crowd, especially with
Oh,
Bad Bunnies,
singing his
literally
song.
word for word, beat for beat, and I'm like, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. That was wild.
Yeah, yeah, it was wild. And the only thing you can compare that to is anywhere AEW goes when Chris Jericho shows up. That's it.
That, yeah, but yeah, going back to Santos Escobar, good lord, like I was pretty excited last night with the whole, getting to have the United States title match, and
Mhm.
then it was like, oh, okay, he's not, but oh, Rey Mysterio, but then, oh, damn, now I have an idea of where they're going, and it pisses
No,
me off.
no. So yeah, that whole thing, you know, I'm not sure how I really feel about it. I wasn't sure how I felt about it when they pulled out the LWO and reformed it with Rey Mysterio as like the figurehead for it.
When it's funny when you bring up that, because I remember back in WCW when Eddie was trying to
Mm-hmm.
have Ray in it, and
He,
he kind of reluctantly at one point went in, and then when they got the other guys to kind of take off their shirt and kind of go
mm-hmm.
their own ways, Ray was the only one. So it's
Ray
like,
was the only one that sat there and goes, nope.
so I mean, I kind of, in one way, it's like, oh, it's surprising thinking back that, oh, he at one point was reluctantly in it, but then kind of seeing
And,
them tying it back into like, oh, he was the only one that didn't want to.
right. It's almost one of those things where it's like, yeah, he's still a member of the LWO. No one else is around to actually dispute his leadership. So we're going to go ahead and make him the leader. And oh, by the way, here you go. And what I absolutely love about that whole gimmick and that whole storyline is that everyone there, Rey Mysterio. I mean, did you see the one of the show vlogs or whatever they call them, the vlogs,
Yeah.
for the Backlash pay per view for the LWO? They all got to the island, and one of the first things they did, all 5 of them went to a tattoo shop and got something LWO tattooed on their body.
Nice.
So you better hope to hell this you either got it somewhere where a pad or your tights can hide it, because if this blows up in your face, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah. No, I can see that.
One of those things. It's
Yeah.
I'm glad they brought back the LWO. I thought it was underutilized in WCW.
Yeah. Oh God, they
It
could have
wasn't
done
around
so
very
much more
long.
with it.
It wasn't around very long in WCW before they decided to start getting everyone to take their shirts off, and then after that, we all know what happened in WCW.
Oh yeah, the whole LWO stable could have been so much bigger.
So much
And I
bigger.
mean, I'm glad in one way that they are getting some shine now. But yeah, not just, I mean, we go to talking about underutilized, underrated. Pretty much everybody in the LWO minus maybe Rey Mysterio,
Rey Mysterio.
underrated. The whole
Underrated,
lot of them.
underutilized. Yep. Oh, staying on SmackDown. Anyone not named Reigns or Sokola or Paul Heyman is underutilized.
Yeah, no,
But I don't have that written down, but I just want to throw that out there. Okay, another one that I had was Butch.
Oh God, yeah.
Pete Dunne.
Pete
If you
Dunne.
want to talk about someone that's been neutered by the system, if you watch anything that Pete's done before he signed with WWE, and I mean when I mean WWE, I mean before main roster, before NXT, before NXT UK, that dude was killing it, killing it. Even NXT UK, they allowed him to do what he liked, what all wrestlers enjoy, and that's the hard hitting style they got. They bring him to NXT. He tried to bring it in, but then someone kind of goes, no. You can't do that when you get up to the main roster. And then they move him up to the main roster. They change his name to Butch. I did hear somewhere that they were trying to figure something out where they could turn him on the Brawling Brutes, and then he just ditched the Butch name and become Pete Dunne. I'd like to see the Bruiserweight back. I actually enjoyed that.
Yeah, that would be something.
But he's very underutilized right now if all they're doing is sticking him in with a tag team with Ridge Holland.
Yeah. I remember actually I think this actually happened right before they had right before Pete Dunne, Butch, or even Tommaso Ciampa, before they ever like officially got to the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
The one time, I want to say almost 2 years ago, it was within the last couple of years, I actually went to a SmackDown show here in Omaha,
right.
And one of the dark matches was Pete Dunne versus Tommaso Ciampa.
Was it a banger?
Absolutely.
Because it was a dark match. It wasn't on TV. And I can almost guarantee that it went over 15 minutes.
Probably. I have a hard time remembering that far back. I have a hard time remembering what I had for fucking lunch.
Yeah. But yeah, Pete Dunne can have a banger. I mean, it's perfect that they stuck him with Brawling Brutes, and Sheamus sitting there saying he's throwing bangers out left and right. So it's almost perfect. But they're not letting him be him.
Yeah.
Let him have the kind of match. Doing it on TV, yeah, okay, I can understand. You're only going to give him 5-10 minutes, and that's counting the entrances, and that's counting the exits.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So you only wind up with maybe an 8-minute match. Okay, I get that. WWE does this a lot with everybody. They give them a short amount of time, but then they get to a pay-per-view, or I'm sorry, what do they call it? A PLE? A PLE, a preferred live event or something like that, or premium live event.
Premium live event. Yeah.
So now they go to a premium live event, and now the same people that are only putting on 7, 8, 9-minute matches, they're now putting on 15, 20, 30-minute matches. Yeah. So it's one of those where it's like, okay, how are you going to build just by what you see on TV? And then you go to here and they're putting on classics when you're putting on garbage on TV, and you got to try and sell a classic on a PLE. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh yeah. And now something that I brought up a little bit ago reminded me of one guy that I would have for my thoughts on somebody that I think is, and it's sad to think of this guy as underutilized or underrated, but Tommaso Ciampa.
Oh yeah.
Like going from, Ring of Honor and the tear that he was on there, and then hell, the run that he had in NXT when he was winning the NXT title, and
Goldie.
then you get Goldie, yeah. And then you get him up to the main roster and you team him up with The Miz.
The new millennium version of the human fast forward button.
Yeah. But now, like, I'll give WWE this with him. it seems like they're at least attempting to kind of right that ship, whether it's Triple H's decision with him being the main guy with booking or whatever it might be. But it does seem like they're kind of somewhat righting that wrong.
Right. Yeah.
So who knows?
Hmm.
Now, I got one more.
Okay.
And then we'll get to some more of yours. And I hope like hell that they actually end up doing something with these guys because, good Lord. But the Good Brothers,
I've got them too.
Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, good Lord. Multi-time champs in, Impact, New Japan, all over.
Another one of those teams that I would actually consider one of the best in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Until you get to WWE.
Yep. Most definitely. So it's sad what's going on with them. Although, in some defense for WWE, I've been told with I forget which one of them, but there has been some injury issues here and there that it's like, okay, let's get them fully healthy and then let them go on a tear. I hope like hell they let them do that.
Oh, yeah.
But good God, since they've been back, it's been kind of underwhelming with them.
Yeah, it has very. I mean, they came back to help AJ out with the Judgment Day. Then they stick Mia Yim in there, or whatever they're calling her now.
I think that Michin
or something like that.
They're still using Mia Yim, but they're adding Michin in there.
So they put those four together to combat the Judgment Day, but now they had the draft, and AJ and everyone is on SmackDown, and the Judgment Day is still on Raw. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Then they shove AJ in a feud with Karrion Kross, which I don't know who's going to carry that feud, but
hell, another example right there of somebody freaking underutilized or underrated.
Karrion Kross was he. What they did to him when they brought him up to the main roster as the NXT champion. That was some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life.
That was completely embarrassing.
He should have been glad they released him after he lost the NXT title.
Yeah. Nope, I'm with you on that one. That was completely
and I'm pretty sure when the Triple H called him up and said, "Hey, would you like to come back?" He said, I would have appreciated if he said, "As long as I don't have to wear the gladiator crap, I'll show up." And then he's doing basically the same thing he was doing down in NXT, which I think is perfect.
Yeah.
The only problem is they're not pushing it the right way. And I think that's just because they're trying to get him. He looks weird with hair. I'll say it right now. I'm used to watching him big bald. To me, just seeing him with that mop, it looks weird to me.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. And like, I'm hoping that eventually they end up getting that character in the right storyline to really give them a push.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like what I say when it comes to MJF and Adam Cole. Like the character's there.
Yes.
Good Lord. If you two guys that can go on the damn mic. Like, you let Adam Cole go the way that he did back in, like, Ring of Honor days. You fit him like they're doing with MJF. And, like, you really let them be those versions of themselves.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Holy crap. Same thing goes for Karrion Kross. You let him go the way that he was back, original NXT run back even before that. You let him be that.
Now here's the thing with that. They're letting him do the same thing. Scarlett showing up with the timepiece flipping it over. This is how much time you have. The only problem is they're not delving deeper into that like they did at NXT. They didn't make him seem like this. I can't even call it a supernatural being or what, but they're not pushing it the way they did down in NXT. What I personally think they need to do is if they're calling somebody up who's a big star, let's just say, for example, Carmelo Hayes. If they were to call up Carmelo Hayes from NXT up to the main roster, I sure as hope to hell Shawn Michaels or somebody gets a hold of Triple H and said, this is what you need to make him look like a star. If you don't do this, he's going to look like a chump, and we're going to have him back here within 3 months.
No, that's the thing. Too often when it comes to NXT call-ups,
Mhm.
is they retool too much of the person getting called up.
Yep.
If you, like, albeit there's circumstances that, like, the character just doesn't catch on the way that it did
Yep.
on NXT. That those circumstances I get. But for like a Carmelo Hayes, I have a feeling that if you let that version of Carmelo Hayes up to the main roster, he's gonna blow up like crazy.
Oh, hell yes. Hell yes.
All right.
So kind of going off on that one, here's one that WWE, in my opinion, shit the bed, let him walk, and now he's actually doing good things somewhere else. Swerve Strickland.
Oh yes. Oh my God. One
And-
of my autograph figures
so-
up there.
And so I take it like this. So they put a bunch of, how do I word this without sounding too negative? Oh, screw it. A bunch of jobbers around him to make him look like they're stars. Okay.
And I got one thing to go off of that, and then I'll let you back on your thing.
Uh-huh.
And I've said it ever since they actually brought these guys back. And like I've said before on my 2 cents, this is our opinion. If you don't
Yes.
agree with it, by all means, say so in the comments. Let us know your opinion. But in my opinion, the only person that made Hit Row special, that made them actually worth a crap, was Swerve.
Yep. So here you
I'll
got
let you back
Swerve.
on.
So here you got Swerve, wins the NXT title, or NXT North American title, gets cashed in by Carmelo Hayes, and then shortly after that, he gets the Mandy Rose treatment and gets let go by WWE. Hit Row does not get let go. Swerve Strickland gets let go. So what's he do?
And then they end up getting let go later. But
they
yeah.
wound up getting let go later. So he winds up, I think he wound up going back up to Seattle to doing Defy for a little bit before AEW called him up. And now he's killing it in the time that they're giving him.
Oh God, especially now with this whole
With the
mogul
whole
embassy thing.
mogul
Oh.
embassy thing. Yes, in my opinion, he's killing it. Heel or face, I've watched Swerve when he was wrestling for Defy, when he was wrestling for was it Pacific Coast Wrestling Ultra?
Maybe
I watched some of the stuff there.
Lucha Underground.
Lucha Underground is kill shot. That dude can go. You put him in NXT, and then he didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
You give him Hit Row, and then you let him go. You call up Hit Row, and then they shit the bed, and then you let him
shit
go.
the bed the entire time they've been back.
And then you let him go, and then for some reason, I don't know if this was a diversity thing. I don't know if Triple H just felt that they didn't have enough time to see what they could really do. Brings them back, and they're still shitting the bed. And it's because the 300-pound top dollar decided to jump over the top rope and got caught up. Now Michael Cole cannot leave him alone.
I find that kind of funny, but I don't know if it was a thing like you were saying. I don't know if it had something to do with maybe they thought that they could recreate some of the magic that they had with Hit Row when they had Swerve, but not being able to have him, they brought the other ones back. But yeah, this iteration of Hit Row has just been horrible.
They've been relegated to the jobber of the stars.
Pretty much.
That's what they've been relegated to. Unfortunately, that's what they're. And I'm sure that they've got talent. I know Top Dollar's only been wrestling for like maybe 2-3 years.
Yeah,
and I don't know about the other two.
I've heard good things about.
Oh yeah,
each of them individually. I don't know what it is, but them together, this iteration, it only, and like I said at the start of this particular one, I fully believe the only person that really made it work was Swerve. If they didn't have Swerve the first time around, I don't know if they would have gotten called up.
Well, I mean, if you look at it like this, okay, Swerve's with the Mogul Embassy. Embassy? Okay.
Yeah, Mogul Embassy.
If you take Swerve out of there, Mogul Embassy is still, they're still stars.
Oh yeah,
the Ring of Honor six-man
Brian
tag team champions.
Yeah,
and whoever else they got. Oh, AR Fox is in there too. You know, they can do things on their own. Hit Row cannot do things on their own because they don't have that person who's going to push them in the right direction.
Yeah.
So,
it's sad.
It's sad. So as far as that goes, that's all I got for people.
Okay.
So I'm going to go into what I think are the underrated promotions, and I've only got a couple of them. And
I got one right off the top of my damn head, but I believe it's probably on your list.
So the first one I've got, we've talked about this before, Game Changer Wrestling.
Ah, yes.
Game Changer Wrestling, with as much, I don't want to say heat or controversy, because yes, they get every wrestling promotion has heat. They all have controversy, but they're a deathmatch company that, in my opinion, they don't try and act like a deathmatch company. Does that make sense?
You know, I can see it.
Because you know, and I don't have the Fight TV that you have, so I don't watch what I catch on YouTube. And you'll have the matches where, you know, you got someone going through plate of glass, hit with the light tubes, going through barbed wire. That's the GCW a lot of people wants to remember. You also have the GCW where you actually have technical wrestling at its absolute finest, and they meld everything together. And to be honest, I think they do a great job. If they were somewhere other than Fight TV, they'd probably do good.
And that's the only thing. The way
they're doing
that
great
they're
now.
able to, the way that they're able to be on Fight TV, I don't think they'd be able to do with a national TV deal.
No, I don't think they would either. ECW had to tone down when they got their national TV deal, and they had to tone down from that when they got their regional.
Yeah, it would have to be like one of those when you have your pay-per-view sort of deals that they'd be able to do it.
And sometimes that's no fun.
And yeah, that would just completely water it down to the point where I don't think very many people would give a crap anymore. No. That people would turn away from that so quick.
Was that yours too?
One of them, I hadn't really thought about it that way, but when you bring it up, yeah, because like, good Lord, the way that I've seen, and I've been lucky enough to talk to some people that have gone through Game Changer, that it's like, especially when Nick Gage goes out there, like the moment his music hits that first note, that whole venue turns into a giant fucking mosh pit.
Oh hell yeah!
And I'm left just being like, God damn it, I want to be there.
It to me it rivals when the Sandman would come out for ECW shows.
Exactly.
That's what it reminds that when I've watched it, that's what it reminds me of.
That, yeah. No, that
It's a cult
in
in a good way. It's a cult in a good way.
In a good way. In the good sense, bringing all those people together. Yeah, I can see that. Now, I don't know if you have this in, well, probably you have more than one.
I have two, and I got one kicking around my head right now.
Okay, I'll go with my one because this is the one that I'm pretty sure is probably on your list. Impact Wrestling.
Okay, they're not on my list, but
because here's the thing with them, and I've actually had this discussion recently. The sheer amount of talent that they have on their roster and the quality of stuff that they put out there on a pretty much consistent basis. If they had a better platform than Access TV right now, they would be giving the other two nationally televised promotions a absolute run for their money.
Oh hell yeah!
They would. I still think that they would be third, but they would be a pretty damn close third. A lot closer than they are now.
Their Impact is a solid 3. They've been a solid 3 forever. But I think the only time they ever dropped, I mean, for the longest time it was WWE, WCW, ECW, and then it was a toss-up between Ring of Honor and Impact, back when they called it TNA. Yeah. And you could flip-flop them either week. It's almost like they had their own Monday Night Wars going. And then, TNA turned into Impact, and they wound up having their stuff with Global Force and whatnot. But they've been right there. They've been, I mean, granted, I could say they've been in the top 5 for as long as they've been. Well, there's only been a handful of wrestling promotions that have made national level, and Impact is one of them. Ring of Honor was another one, but then again, they fell. I don't want to say they got the pandemic bug, because
I don't think that helped them out any.
No,
I mean, although in Ring of Honor's defense, and from people that I've talked to, I can see this, that the people that owned Ring of Honor at the time didn't have to keep paying everybody.
Yeah,
but they did. So hands down to them. So in that aspect, hands down to them. But yeah.
On that note, but then again, it's like the boss of the company that they have to close down because of the pandemic. They're not able to put out the product. They have to close their doors and basically fire everybody. But it's become a family. Ring of Honor, from everything that I've heard, the Ring of Honor originals, all the guys that were there, they all became some form of a family. So I can get why they continued paying them while they weren't able to do anything.
Yeah.
But then when that happens, then you've got to realize that if you're not, the only outlet that I remember that Ring of Honor had during the pandemic was watching shows on YouTube in front of nobody.
Although I do remember that they did have, I forget what channel it was around here.
Oh yeah, they did. I can't remember. Like Stadium?
It was whatever CW channel.
Yeah.
That it was.
It's like one of CW's digital channels.
And I remember that I had them scheduled on my DVR on YouTube TV, and like I would catch up every so often on that. But yeah, the platform that they had back then,
it didn't help them. It didn't bring any revenue in. That's one of the reasons that kept WWE going during the pandemic too. Because one, they were able to find one spot to go to, and they created the Thunderdome, which, upon hearing it first, you think that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. And I actually said that. I go, that's the dumbest. Who would call something the Thunderdome? Because I'm automatically thinking that it's a cage that's going around half the damn ring, and some of the old WCW cage matches they called Thunderdomes. That's the first thing that came to my mind. And then when you read about it and you see it, it's like, okay, now I understand. You're just gonna put 70, 80, 100 people on a Zoom call during Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing, and then you're gonna pipe in music because that's what they did. They piped in the sounds so that people know to boo and cheer and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Ring of Honor didn't have that. They didn't have anything coming in. You just had people showing up. They would wrestle, and there's another one where they fell into the tournament trap because right before the pandemic they tried getting a Women of Honor going, and then some of
And
those
the pure title, they were bringing
Pure
that
title, and then they went from Women of Honor to a women's women's championship. All that during a pandemic.
Yeah.
How is that really going to work? Because now, instead of just getting the people you have, now you're going to wind up plucking people from other parts of the country and other parts of the world. How are you going to pay them?
Yeah. No, I get it. But you had a couple other ones.
Okay. The other one I had was PWG.
Yes.
Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. There's
That-
one that's very underrated because if you turn on SmackDown, if you turn on Raw, if you turn on AEW, either Dynamite, Collision, Rampage, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla has its fingertips everywhere.
Hell, one of the announcers for AEW is the guy behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that I can say about them is the way that they do their shows are one kind of sporadic from what I know.
They would run, I think they run either bi-monthly or I can't remember what it was, but then the pandemic hit and they shut down for like 2 years.
Yeah. And then
they wound up coming back last February, I think.
Yeah, and then the only thing with them is with the other places, like if you aren't at the show live, you don't get to. There's no streaming for them.
No,
they basically have their shows, and however the hell long it takes them to produce the DVDs. I mean, you won't get to see it until then, and then that's probably a good 6 months down the road.
Any good independent promotion will go through YouTube for something. One of the ones I had kicking around in my head was Reality of Wrestling. Booker T's down in Houston. They used to have a TV deal down in Houston. I can't remember if they do or not now. But they have a YouTube show. The YouTube show is filmed in one night over 4 hours. I know this because I went to one. And I had to listen to my daughter complain that I was going to go watch wrestling without her, and I did not know. I had to tell her that I don't know what this is going to entail because I've never been to a Reality of Wrestling show. I didn't know what to expect. It wasn't until I got there that they're like, oh, yeah, it's a family-friendly show. And I saw people had their kids there. I was like, oh, crap, I could bring my daughter here. All right. And, over a course of, actually the show was like 3 hours long, and I'm sure they added, backstage interviews, but they wound up breaking it down into 1 hour YouTube shows. So that when it finally hit, like I think it came out like 2-3 weeks later, it just fell in line with everything else that they had going on. And unfortunately, I walked in there 2.5, 3 hours before the bell rang for the very first match, or bell time as they call it, and I was able to walk in and get front row.
Huh.
So, and then that part was cool. The only part I didn't see was cool about it was that their guardrails went about here.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So I could find myself because when I watched those videos, I could find myself because I know what the hat I was wearing. Other than that, I was like, I got my hand up here. I'm looking like I'm a little kid looking for dad coming off the plate. But reality of wrestling is another promotion, I think, or I don't want to say they're underutilized or underrated. They've had deals with Impact before. They've done a couple shows with Impact a couple years ago. I actually think they did a couple shows in North Dakota with
I know I think they've had people from there go up there at least.
Yeah, they did. Don't quote me on this, but didn't they do like a Fully Loaded Cup back when Fully Loaded Wrestling was around? It was like between North Dakota and Texas.
I know that they've done some Fully Loaded did something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Reality of Wrestling was,
and the funny thing is, Reality of Wrestling, like I said, it's Booker T's show. They actually started moving around the city again because they would go to different places in Houston, and then they found one spot where they would do their shows for like, I think they did their shows there for like 3-4 years. So that would be their home. But then recently pandemic and all that, they actually started going around and going to some of these places they used to go for years.
nice.
And, Reality Wrestling is another show or another promotion where they've got their fingertips in WWE and they got them in Ring of Honor.
That they do. I mean, oh God, I'm trying to remember who all has went there, but I know there's relatives of people in WWE that are getting their start there with the Reality of Wrestling. What was it? Umaga's son just started up there.
He just had his first match a couple weeks ago.
That video blew up big.
It did. But then again, everyone, he used what he called a super spike, which I first read the caption, I'm like, super spike, what the hell? And then I saw what he did, and I'm like, oh, okay, super spike. Basically, he threw him up in the air and gave him a Samoan spike.
That looked pretty wild.
But yeah, well, and the funny thing is, and it falls on the whole how your opponent sells the move.
Yeah.
You can get hit with a Samoan spike and stand there and then kind of crumple and be like, well, he sold that like crap. That's a crap move. Or he could sell it like this dude did, which was damn near do a flip in the air. And it looks absolutely freaking devastating.
It's like the difference between The Rock selling a stunner and Vince McMahon.
Oh, yes. McMahon just sells it like an old man that shouldn't be in the wrestling ring, period. That's probably why he had back surgery.
You know what? Probably. Yeah, he did just recently have that spinal surgery.
Yes. That's probably why from trying to sell that stunner.
Oh, God.
If you want to call that a sell, I don't know if you can call that a sell or just fucking it up completely.
That, or whenever he got hit with the stunner, he just had a mini stroke or something.
Yeah, he just had a mini. And there's other guys that would sell it pretty good. The Rock was perfect. I don't know who else would sell it fairly good. Undertaker did a good job of selling it.
I know I've seen a bunch that have been able to do it pretty damn good. But yeah, the one that always pops into my head right off the top
was The Rock.
Best was Rock, yeah. But is that about all you have?
That's about all I got for this one.
That is about all I have for this. Boy, we could go on and on. I know I've already thought of a few more ideas, but we will get this out. But
And if you guys out there have any ideas for us to do our 2 cents,
yeah.
go ahead and give us a comment. I'm sure we'll research it and we'll come up with something that you probably won't like.
Yeah, no, by all means, put some stuff in the comments.
Oh yeah.
Let us know what you want to see, and we will get ideas put together and get that all going. But that is about all we have for now. Let's fucking go.
Let's go.